Welcome to the second edition of the two-wheeler version of Ask Autocar Anything. We're back here to answer your questions that you send in to us, and we get thousands of questions from you every month that we answer on our website, and we're going to pick up some of those questions out here and answer them as well. And these are the kind of questions that we see repeatedly, which means it's a lot of interest for you, and that's why we've selected these questions. I'm Rishaad Mody, and joining me are Dinshaw and Azaman, and I will start off with the first question of the day, which is quite short and sweet. Hi team, says Manish, I am planning to buy a new bike for daily use, and I'm confused between the Honda Unicorn, the RTR 162V and the SP 160. My priority is comfort, especially for the pillion rider. Could you please suggest which of these bikes would be the best option? Dinshaw, you want to take this one?
Yeah, sure. You've shortlisted bikes that are pretty comfortable in their own rights, and they have nice long single-piece seats. So we're starting from a nice point. The Unicorn is a tried and tested commodity, and it's been on sale for more than 2 decades. In that time, we know that it's comfortable, hassle-free to own, returns good economy, and is decently peppy as well. The SP160 is, say, the Unicorn DLX in Honda's speak. It's got a few more features, little snazzier style, but underneath it all, it's pretty much the same. So the riding experience between the two should largely be the same. Coming to the TVS Apache RTR 162V, while the RTR is a nice bike, I think you are better off picking the RTR 164V. The 2V is really an ancient motorcycle and it does feel its age. While it is powerful and pretty feature rich, I'd say go for the 4V, get the smoother engine and you get the more modern machine as well.
The Apache is definitely the performance-oriented version of these three. But like Dinshaw said, if you want that performance, you might as well just go to the 4V for the newer generation motorcycle. A few better features. It'll feel like a more special sort of performance commuter motorcycle. But that doesn't seem to be your priority at all. You've not mentioned that anywhere. So we would say look at the Hondas. And since this is just a no-nonsense, comfort-oriented vehicle, just go for the Unicorn. The Unicorn has been around forever, and it did get a very significant update a few years ago where they made it a 160, but it's a tried, tested product, and you just want something that runs without hassle, so the Unicorn it is. Okay, moving up to much more performance-oriented motorcycles. This question comes from Ashish, and he says, I'm confused between the Pulsar NS200 and the Yamaha R15M as both bikes are on my list to purchase. My budget is 1.5 lakh rupees. Well, Ashish, a bit of bad news for you. With that budget, you're not going to get any R15. You could just about get an XSR or an MT15 at their ex-showroom prices, which means your on-road price is still going to be about 1.8 lakh rupees.
Closer to the 2 lakh rupee mark.
The NS200 will fit in your budget.
Yeah, it should. It should.
And the NS200 is old but special.
Fun.
Yeah, yeah. And if you go for a used motorcycle, then yeah, you could look at an R15 and maybe then we can tell you what an R15 is like.
Yeah, so compared to the NS200, the R15, I would say first off, just straight off the bat, it's a lighter motorcycle. It feels light when you get on it, and it's a more nimbler handling motorcycle. And if you're coming from something from the, let's say, 110cc segment, then the R15 is a good pick because you learn a lot on it. The 200 again is a more powerful machine and something that you need a little bit of experience to ride with. So yeah, if you are getting a second-hand motorcycle, the R15 seems like a good bet considering that Yamahas have also known for their reliability.
Yeah, I would agree with that. The R15 punches above its weight. Every time I ride an R15, I'm surprised by how quick it is and how much it keeps accelerating. You know, 150cc bikes tend to accelerate about 80 kilometers an hour and then it tails off. The R15 keeps going. And give it enough room, you'll see 145, 150 on the clock. So it is a really nice bike, and of all the bikes to buy used, an R15 is good because again, it's a solid proven motorcycle. The engine just goes on and on. The R15 is uncomfortable and you must be committed to that lifestyle of riding like this all the time. It's not comfortable by any means. NS is a more practical bike and the NS's engine is really exciting. It's short geared and it likes revving through the gears, makes a good sound. It's going to be quicker than the R15. And at your budget, the NS200 is probably the most exciting bike you could get.
Yeah. Agreed.
So yeah, buy used or buy new, that is going to give you your answer.
Okay, so the next question is from Krishna. He is considering upgrading from a 2015 KTM Duke 200 to the KTM 390 Enduro R. And what he likes the most is its design, performance and off-road capability. And he thinks that will be a significant step up from his current bike. However, he is not very experienced in off-road riding. and he would appreciate our advice on what are the key pros and cons of upgrading to the 390 Enduro R from a Duke 200. Is it a sensible choice for someone new to off-road riding, or could it feel too demanding? How manageable is the bike for everyday riding in terms of comfort, heat and practicality? And would he be underutilizing the bike if he only rides off-road and occasionally on weekends? And additionally, how does it compare with the alternatives like the Himalayan 450, KTM 390 Adventure X and Triumph Scrambler 400 for his usage? And lastly, what specific aspects should he focus on during a test ride and making a final decision?
Krishna has a lot of questions for us. I first would like to tell you, don't take it so seriously. Don't worry about underutilizing the bike. As long as you're enjoying the bike, I think that's what matters. You don't have to completely utilize every potential aspect of that motorcycle. 390 Enduro, I will tell you this, if you can handle its height, and it's 890
895
is a seat height. It's a tall motorcycle, there's no doubt about it. But if you're comfortable with that, it's a lovely bike. In fact, I said in my review as well, I don't know if I enjoyed it more on-road or more off-road, because on-road, it's got this road-biased 390 engine, which is not fantastic off-road. It doesn't have the strong bottom end that you want. But on-road, it's great. The gear ratios are spread out nicely. And it's not high-strung, you know. You can chill at 90, 100, 110 on the highway. I rode with someone on a 390 Enduro all the way down to Goa, and with careful riding, you could get a range of 200 kilometers on a tank full, even though it's a small 9-liter fuel tank. So it can be surprisingly real-world usable, and I really like the Enduro. It is a left-field option. It's not the most logical thing. You don't see too many of them out there, but it makes for a very nice road bike. And even though you're not much of an off-road rider today, maybe this bike will make you an off-road rider. Maybe you're going to start enjoying riding off-road because of it, and you will be encouraged to go out and join other people and pick that up. And if you don't, you'll still like it on road. What it's like compared to the adventure bikes? Yeah.
Of course, keep in mind that it's not going to be like your everyday trail bike like a KLX or a X-Pulse, because it is a heavy motorcycle at the end of the day. So don't expect to go through off-road trails just bashing through everything as easily as you would on a KLX.
I mean, it takes a little more experience on a KLX.
Of course,
the KLX is just absolutely the best beginner learner bike for off-road riding.
So that is an important thing to keep in mind for his off-road versatility. I mean, it does everything well. You just need an experience.
You need to build it up and maybe go to an off-road school. That really helps. So what is like compared to the adventure bikes?
I would say again, compared to the 390 Adventure, I like the Enduro more because it doesn't have the tower, and the towers tend to just be a little rattly in the KTM Adventure.
Yeah, I agree with you. And there's too much wind protection on the 390. In our hot environment, I want some cooling air that the 390 blocks away from me.
And again, a point for me, I don't think this bothers you so much. For my height, the towers of the 390 Adventures are just always in my way.
So you're looking at the upper...
Yeah, I'm looking at it and it's always causing buffeting. So I just prefer the Enduro when I was riding it.
And they rattle.
And they rattle, yeah.
So the 390 Adventure is practical, much more practical than the Enduro, and it's great fun. But the Enduro is just a small pared-back motorcycle. It's simpler, and I find that more appealing just as an overall use.
And considering that you're talking about moving from a naked motorcycle to that, you will have more of a familiar feel because you just have the handlebar in front, not too much going on there, which is similar to what you had on the Duke 200.
I mean, to basically answer your question, the 390 Enduro R feels like a naked adventure bike.
Exactly.
It is not a very focused trail bike by any means. And for most reasons, for most purposes, that's a good thing for someone who just wants an all-round motorcycle. So go take a test ride, see what it's like, see if you're comfortable with it in traffic. Everything else is pretty much like riding a 390 Adventure. In terms of clutch feel, in terms of how the engine responds, in terms of the way the bike handles, it's all familiar. You just need to see that you're comfortable. If you're not comfortable, wow, there's so many options. Scrambler is a very practical daily use motorcycle. I think the Himalayan is one of the best all-rounder adventure bikes that you can buy today, single or twin cylinder in this sub 5 lakh rupee segment. It's a very capable motorcycle, but it's heavy. So that's the trade-off. And then there's the KTM 350 Adventure or the 390 Adventure X. Just go take test rides and see what gels with you and what sort of attribute you like about the motorcycle. But yeah, the 390 Enduro R could really be your motorcycle.
So next up, we have Sudhir, who asks us, he has a Royal Enfield Classic 350, the BS4 version, and he's planning to upgrade to the Interceptor 650. His usage is mostly in the city with occasional highway rides, and monthly running is about 1,000 kilometers. So should he actually go for the Interceptor or stick with the new BS6 Classic 350? Well, if you go for the new Classic 350, in some ways you're getting the same experience, the core Royal Enfield experience, but it's just refined head and shoulders above. I mean, the new J-Series Classic is a sweetheart. All of us in the team really love it. There's just nothing that bike does
I'm going to
wrong
disagree
in
with
our
you. You're
books.
not going to get the same experience. It's a very different experience because I never cared for the old UC
UC.
Classic. It didn't speak to me at all. I didn't understand why it was so popular. But the new one gives you that slow riding thing without the vibration.
Without the vibration,
And
without the
with
breakdowns.
massively improved reliability. So from his point of view, I think he's going to be getting a changed experience.
That's true, and if you want to go a step even further, you could get the Interceptor, and that Interceptor engine really is the star of the show. Royal Enfield has democratized owning a twin-cylinder motorcycle today, and the Interceptor is one of its prime examples. It's comfortable to use in the city, yet you can take it out on the highway. It's one of the lighter models in the Royal Enfield 650cc family, surprisingly, but relatively speaking. So you could realistically use it in the city without too much fuss. Of course, there'll be a bit of an adaptation period moving from the Classic to the Interceptor. What you do need to be mindful of on the Interceptor and the Continental, especially those twin pipes, they really stick out quite far. And the engine itself is quite wide. Even at 5'11", I can't really flat-foot all of those bikes unless I'm on actual flat level ground. Other than that, I think no matter which one you choose, you're making a pretty safe bet. And since you are coming from a Royal Enfield, you know how the ownership experience is like, and you should realistically face no real surprises.
Sudhir, what I would recommend to you, I lived with the Interceptor 650 for almost a year when it first came out. And what I noticed is that it really depends on what the city is that you live in. If you have jam-packed commutes every day, the Interceptor is not fun. The main thing that you talked about was those pipes sticking out. You are constantly, you probably adjust, I used to adjust my mirrors so I could
look
keep
at
an
the
eye on
pipes.
what's happening with the pipes, especially when you're weaving in between caps. It is a heavy motorcycle. It's what, 215, 220 kilos
220
fully
kilos,
fueled. So it's going to take commitment on your part to pull this off. Can you pull it off? Is it an uncomfortable, horrible bike? Not at all. You're going to feel more heat than your 350. You're going to feel more size than your 350, and you'll be more mindful than your 350. Can you do it? Absolutely. But I would say if you're in a less crowded, not one of these giant metro cities that we live in, it'll be easier for you. It'll be a great upgrade because then you have this one motorcycle that can take you touring when you want to go touring with a much less effort, a much more characterful engine, a good sound. It's a real upgrade. But know that these are the drawbacks of the Interceptor in the city. One more thing for you to think about is we expect to see an updated Interceptor going on sale this year. So if you're going to go for an Interceptor, please wait for a few months. Royal Enfield is working on many updates this year. When exactly it's coming, we don't know. But in the next 6 to 8 months, we should see this. Yeah. So
in fact, even the Classic 350 update has been pending for quite a while.
Is overdue.
So
yeah, right. So please wait for both of them.
Please
Actually,
wait
good
for both
point,
of them,
Dinshaw.
yeah.
Please wait for both of them. The Classic 350 will get the slip assist clutch, which will again be very nice in the city. It'll make for a lighter clutch.
Maybe tubeless spoke wheels.
Maybe. So
hopefully.
yeah. So please wait in case of both motorcycles, but Classic 350 is by far a nicer city motorcycle and a more charming bike if you like riding at very low speeds and low RPMs, and just like your 350 is right now, you know, just off the clutch at low RPMs, enjoying the torque. Pick between these two based on where you are and what
Where you are and
for.
what kind of rider you are, I would say. Yeah, essentially
absolutely.
it comes down to that.
I think the next question, Rishaad should primarily handle it. He's the best one at this.
Flattery. The next question comes from Sanket. Hi, I ride a 2021 Street Triple R. Well done, Sanket. With around 23,000 kilometers in the odometer. Very well done, Sanket. And I am now planning to move into adventure touring category with either a BMW R1300 GS or a Multistrada V4, which a few of my friends have recommended. My riding style is more spirited. I enjoy fast highway rides in the twisties, but I also want a bike that can be kept long term for the next 15 years alongside my Street Triple R. So he's not going to sell the Street Triple R. He wants weekend rides, 200 to 300 rides regularly, and one major touring ride every year. His priorities are reliability, manageable maintenance costs, good parts availability in India, and a bike that feels special after many years of ownership. This is a tricky one because both bikes will actually meet his needs.
Yeah.
The Multistrada V4 has established itself over the last 5-6 years since it's been out to be a superbly reliable motorcycle. That V4 engine, the Gran Turismo engine of theirs, is rock solid. So don't worry about that in terms of the Ducati aspect of it. The GS, I haven't ridden the GS Adventure yet, but I have lots of experience on the GS 1300. And there is a charm with a boxer engine that nothing else matches. And there's also a usability of that engine in our crowded environments where you're at low RPMs and the bike is beautifully balanced. There's a feel to a boxer bike that is just unique. And now they are really quick. Yes, it's only 140 horsepower compared to 170 horsepower. I made that mistake the first time I rode a 1250 GS. I thought, this is a grandfather bike and I'll get on it. And I nearly looped myself off it when I opened the gas. They're fast motorcycles. So don't think that you'll be bored by a GS. And I do feel like the GS is a more characterful bike. Again, I can't speak for the 1300 GSA because I haven't ridden it, but it's gigantic. So I would say the Multi is a sportier motorcycle. You could do more with the Multi. In fact, like you could take it to a track day and have fun. Like we just did at the Autocar track day this year. We had a Multistrada V4 and a V2 and both of them exceeded expectations. So to come back to your priorities, look, the Multi V4 will be very special and very sporty, but what I'm thinking is you want to keep the Street Triple R as well, and that's going to give you your sporty hit. So why not go with the GS in this case, either the GS Adventure or the GS? Now, I'm sorry, you say manageable maintenance costs. Please prepare yourself that you're going to the top tier of motorcycling, and this is the top tier of motorcycling ownership
Anything
costs.
but manageable.
So it's just what it is. If you are able to spend 30 plus lakhs on a motorcycle, it's also going to cost that much more to run, but you also get that much more of a priority and special treatment from the dealership. So that's just how it is. I think I'm going to go with GS because you're keeping the Street Triple. Go with something different, and the GS is just a phenomenally capable motorcycle. See what character you like. You may just gravitate towards one over the other. Our recommendation is the GS. And with that, I think we wrap up this episode. We run out of time. We are genuinely flooded by your questions. We really appreciate the amount of trust that you put in us to give you an expert opinion on all your questions. So please keep them coming in and we will answer them as fast as you can and to the best of our capabilities.